This video is about the new installation packages that have become available for SimSmith in the last couple of days. If we go to the SimSmith website and we look, we see that what's currently available now is a new version 14.7, and it comes in only 3 flavors. It comes in a Windows flavor for Windows 64-bit only. It comes in a Mac version, and it comes in a Unix version now. Notice the absence of any jar file, which is no longer being supplied. I downloaded this file. Let's close this window up. I downloaded the file. It's here. It is 46 megabytes in size, whereas the original jar file was 6.6 megabytes, and the last exe file that was available for Windows was 24 megabytes. I'm doing this all on a Windows 10 machine. This program has not been installed in this particular machine, although I have installed it on a couple other PCs. So let's run it. Okay, we are given a window here that looks more modern, typical of a lot of other current programs where we actually install the program rather than just copy the files. License agreement window, must accept it. Now we have a location. We are now allowed to put these files in the program files directory in Windows. I have found that we're able to put them other places too, but let's take the default location that is offered up and say next. Now, we get a chance to create a start menu folder if we wish. Sure, why not? SimSmith. And we can associate it if we want to associate it with .ss programs. This is a nice feature. This used to be available in the exe versions that were downloaded for Windows and then ceased to exist, I don't know, as a number of months ago, and now is back again. And this is nice because this will update, if you have a new version of SimSmith, it'll update the .ss files to automatically use the new version. You can create a quick launch icon, and you can create a desktop icon. These can be obviously deleted later if you wish. So we're going to extract the files now. That was very quick. And let's not run SimSmith yet. Let's go look around a little bit and see what we've got. SimSmith used to create some files in your user directory, 2 files, specifically a log file and a last SimSmith file. They have not been created yet. And let's go look at where we installed the program. And what do we see? Aha, we see the jar file. I wonder if that jar file is directly runnable. We'll have to try that in a bit. We see a jar file. We see an exe file. I suspect this exe file does nothing more than run the jar file with a little bit of help, or maybe some logos or something else. I'm not sure. Here we see the Java runtime environment and all its associated stuff. We see the install. I believe this is the installer program that installed things. And here's an uninstall program now, typical of most current day Windows type software. So that looks all pretty straightforward. Let's close that. What did we see here? We asked for a desktop icon. Did we get one? I don't see one. I thought we asked for one. Let's go look in the start here. If we look in the Windows Start menu, I run a shell here, but this is the standard Windows Start menu. We got recently added, shows SimSmith. It shows, I had loaded it on this machine previously and deleted it. Geez, I thought I'd completely deleted it. I guess not. It shows the last several SimSmith programs I've used, which is a very nice feature. Typical, again, of a lot of newer software. shows SimSmith as being a new installation, and it shows the program we can run. Let's run it from here just for grins. It showed a little icon, and it showed the typical stuff afterward. Unable to read the last SimSmith circuit file, which is very normal when you don't have one. Let's say we know all of this. Now if we go back and look here, we'll find that SimSmith created a last SimSmith circuit file and a log file, just as it did before in the prior to this new installer. Program shows is version 14.7, which is correct, and everything looks good. We see an icon down below indicating it's running. If we close this, minimize that, we see the icon down there again. Let's see if we can run a second version of SimSmith. Okay, we're capable of running multiple versions of SimSmith still. That's really nice. That's a feature I use all the time, and we can run multiple versions. Let's see. Let's close these off. If we wanted to put an icon down here, let's see if we can get an icon down here easily. Pretty sure we asked for a desktop icon, and I don't see one here anywhere. Let's go back to where SimSmith was installed very quickly. And let's take the exe file here and right-click on it and say Pin to Taskbar. And we got a SimSmith program down here now as a and there it's running as a on the taskbar. That worked just fine. See if we get down here and we right-click on it, we see all the files that have been loaded before. That's amazing. I don't know where those are saved. Maybe they're saved in the registry or something. Let's try something interesting here. Did we really do an install for a program that was? Did we really do an install that needs the registry, or is this program just sitting there and does not need the registry? Let's go here and look at the program again. Here it is. I'm going to drag it out on the desktop. Okay, it's now gone from where it used to be. Here it is. Let's see what happens if we try to run it from here. I would normally have expected this to be a failure. It runs just fine. So it tells me that there's a lot of stuff that's really not necessarily. It's not quite. It's still kind of like a no install program, but yet it uses an installer to get it going, which is interesting. Let's go back here. We have a jar file here. Can we run the jar file directly? I still have on this machine the Java runtime environment. Let's bring that up. The jar file runs by itself still. So it doesn't seem like there's really a lot of changes. One nice feature, though, is this ability to have all these previous files here able to be. Let's remove all these just quickly and make sure that everything's still. I thought I had removed all these before. Windows is pretty insistent these days. If you move directories and stuff, Windows keeps track of stuff. Windows 10, that is, keeps track of stuff amazingly well. If you have a application that you had a shortcut to on a desktop, and you take the application and you move it, Windows fixes the desktop icon, believe it or not, which is kind of it's kind of scary to say the least, but it does do that. So let's click on now one of these SimSmith old files here, and let's see what happens if I bring it up just by double-clicking on it. It did not. This was originally assigned when we installed it to look for a program in program file simsmith.exe. So moving it here broke that link. I mean, this is something somebody wouldn't normally do is do it from, take the folder where you installed the program and move it. So let's just put it back where it was. Okay, it's now back there. Let's bring up a SimSmith file. Okay, and that works just fine. Now, if we close this off and we go down here and we right-click, we can see that it was a recent file. This is really nice to have the recent files available. We can bring up SimSmith just regularly. That's one instance running. We get down here again and we click on SimSmith again. We get should have a second instance. I do. It's the same file, and it's the file that came from the last SimSmith circuit because they didn't ask for it specifically. So that's a small little point. But if I click on the file directly here, this will show the name of the. Oh, that was the file that was on the other monitor. Let me drag it over. This file shows exactly the file that I loaded. If I now load another version of SimSmith without asking for a file specifically, I will get the last SimSmith circuit. That's what it uses as a starting point. It happens to look just like this circuit is, but it isn't really a different file. This all works exactly like the way it used to work. So I guess my experience with doing this is, other than the fact that bring it back up again. Let's see what size it is. Other than the fact that I can't think and speak at the same time. Okay, other than the fact that the okay, it's 182 megabytes long. That includes the Java runtime environment. The Java runtime environment by itself is 176 megabytes. So it includes a pretty big chunk of the Java runtime environment. Maybe includes all of it. I really don't know. So the downside of doing this would be, if I downloaded this for several different versions of SimSmith, I may end up with several different versions of the Java runtime environment unless I continue to put them in the same folder location. That's a disadvantage. There's another disadvantage in that it will always have the same version of Java. If there's a new updated version of the Java runtime environment, I can't get it in this case easily. An advantage to it is I don't need to download the Java runtime environment, which I think is a huge advantage for most people. And there's some concern by people about Java has a bad name in some ways. So I don't know. I guess all in all, this worked out pretty nicely. The thing I was most concerned about was my inability, perhaps at some point in time, to be able to run multiple instances of the program, and that hasn't been affected at all. I like the fact very much that it got the file association right just on the install, which is again another good thing. And it seems like it's an easy install. I did it on 2 other laptops and 1 other desktop machine, and it worked fine on all of those. 2 of those other 2 were Windows 10. 1 was Windows 7 machine. That's all it's been tried on, and it works fine. I did take the files that were in that directory. Let's just go to them again. I took the files that were in this directory right here, the SimSmith directory. I took all these files, I copied them to a thumb drive, I took them to another machine which did not have the install done. I loaded those, I just copied them over directly, and everything ran just fine. I did not have a file association for SS files to SimSmith, but that's easy to do. I mean, anytime you want to do that in Windows 10, you right-click on this, and you just say "Open with," and you go through the list here. You go and down here and find your app you want to run, and just say go for it, and that'll make it that'll make the file association connected to that program very just like an install would. Again, this seems to have been pretty easy to do, and it seems to work just fine. And apparently, there's a bunch of advantages for Ward to have done it this way, because he puts some pretty serious effort into making this all happen. If you're looking at this on a Mac, you might make a comment below the video if it works the same way in Mac as it works on a PC. Same thing if you're running on Linux. I can't test it on either of those, but anyways, nevertheless, hopefully Hopefully this has been interesting, and it doesn't look like nearly as much has changed as I thought maybe might have changed initially. Thanks again. Bye. One quick addition to the previous video. I made a comment a couple times in the video that I could not find a SimSmith shortcut on the desktop, even though we had asked the installer to give us one. It turns out that the installer chose not to give us one because I have a shortcut already on the desktop called SimSmith, which is a shortcut to a SimSmith folder, not an exe file. But the fact that that had exactly the same name as what the installer was trying to name the shortcut to, it chose not to give me anything at all. What it should have given me, what it should have done, in my opinion, is to have, if I drag it over, I get a shortcut and it's titled simsmith.exe, which is a different name. What it should have given me here for a name would have been the following, and this is typically what's done. It should have given me this for the name, but it did not give me this for the name. So I don't know what the deal with the installer is. The chances of installing it and having a file that's a link that's got the exact same name as what it's going to end up being for the link that the installer wants to use is kind of unlikely, to say the least. And in reality, I would rather have this link say something along the lines of SimSmith 14p7, so I know what version it's linked to. All those are ways to make the link not have the same name as this. But there was a little bug in the installer in that regard. We're talking about some pretty small stuff here, guys. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.